A federal judge has ruled that the administration can continue its mass firings of federal employees. Now, this is really important. In the wake of that ruling, the administration moved forward with a massive cut at the IRS. 6,000 agents fired. Trump's Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, he spoke after that announcement. Listen to what he had to say.
Well, I think our objective is to make sure that the employees that we pay are being productive and effective. The point is that don't just talk about the IRS, talk about all of government. That there are so many places. I live in D.C. You maybe live in D.C. where nobody's going to the buildings. People aren't commuting because nobody's doing their job. We look back and we see that there are all these people doing two jobs while they're getting a government payroll on the payroll. So the point is we're fixing that, and the IRS is a small part of that picture.
We keep saying it, but it's true. The floodgates are now open. It appears no agency is safe. Now listen to what Elon Musk said about uncovering all that government waste.
People ask me, what's the most surprising thing that you've encountered when you go to D.C., when you're in D.C.? And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures and actually how easy it is to, when you add caring and competence where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. But obviously, it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot to people, you know? So what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Okay, Steve Hilton joins me now. Steve, has the Musk-Trump avalanche of action overwhelmed the Democrats?
Yes, but it needs to keep going. By the way, Stuart, don't make me say the Bond thing. I don't want to do that this morning.
Okay.
But I do have a vote for who it should be, the next one. I think a more experienced, kind of grizzled kind of Bond, if I may put it like that. Stuart Varney. I think that would be very good for the future of the franchise.
At my age, I couldn't do those
Musk...
stunts, you know. I just couldn't do that. Out of the question.
I don't know. You're very sprightly. Look, I think Elon captured it perfectly. For so long, we've had people in charge of the government, whether that's the politicians or the bureaucrats, who don't realize that it's our money. They don't behave as if it's money that they need to be careful with and make sure you get the best value from it. And so what you've seen year after year is taxpayers seeing their taxes go up and up and up in all sorts of different ways, all the different forms of tax they're paying. And yet the services they get from the government in exchange seem to get worse and worse. And now we're seeing why. Because so much of our money is going into things that it wasn't designed for. So partly that can be explained by pure incompetence and the word we use, waste, where it's just they don't know what's happening, they're incompetent, they can't manage it properly, it's going to people who it shouldn't go to, people who are long dead, false claims, all that kind of stuff. But there's another category which I think is bigger, which is going to things that don't make sense, that are wrong, that are actively chosen. Yeah. These things are deliberate, and those need to be stopped as well. And there's one final point I'd make, which I think is absent from this whole conversation. The 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment of our Constitution says clearly that things that are not specifically in the Constitution should be left, quote, to the states respectively or to the people. Huge chunks of the federal government, in my view, should never be there at all. So it's not a question of just trimming it back. It's not just the education department, housing and urban development, for example. Why do we even have a federal department for that at all? So as far as I'm concerned, close the whole thing down, fire the people, sell the buildings, return the power and the money to the states.
Oh, a radical Steve Hilton this morning. So let me ask you how you feel about this one. Some Republicans want America to withdraw from the United Nations. You've been involved in politics for a long time. Would you be in favor of pulling out of the UN? And if we did, how would the world react?
Well, there'd be horror, of course. I've been a fierce critic of the United Nations. I've done lots of investigation into the terrible corruption. You have all these officials at the UN living it up in five-star hotels and first-class travel, again, all at our expense. And by the way, it really is our expense. The vast proportion of the UN's budget is paid for by America. And what are the results? I mean, where is anything better? If we want to help the rest of the world, and especially developing nations, poor countries, then we should be focusing on the things that help countries become rich and successful. Property rights, the rule of law, a free press, all those institutions of strong free market economies and strong free societies. That's what we should be focused on. But the people at the UN don't believe in any of that. They believe in government solving all these problems, bureaucracy solving all these problems, and it just doesn't work.
Steve Hilton, you're on a roll. Keep it going. We'll see you again real soon. Steve Hilton, our guy in California. Thanks very much, Steve.